As the ranking member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Bob Corker of Tennessee. Senator, welcome.
David, good to be with you. Thank you.
Big story this morning for the broadcast is Iran. The Iranian president saying that Iran refuses to stop enriching uranium, a critical step to making a nuclear weapon. So is this all part of negotiation, or is this actually a dead end?
Well, we'll see. Obviously, the Security Council resolutions call for a complete stoppage of enrichment, so we'll see. I think the concerns that we have, David, many of us, is that, look, on these partial kinds of arrangements, exactly the kind that we have with North Korea, you begin this dance that we're seeing right now. And so unless you do the whole deal on the front end, you in essence begin this series of steps that may well lead to Iran getting to exactly the place they wish to get to while we relieve sanctions. So there are a lot of concerns. Some of the same people that were involved in the negotiations with North Korea are involved in these. And so you can imagine that Congress that put these sanctions in place, with the administration kicking and screaming all the way, pushing back against these sanctions, are very concerned that we're going to deal away the leverage that we have, where we finally have Iran willing to sit down and talk about these issues.
So, Senator, in the interim, there's going to be another meeting. These negotiations will continue on a freeze, just a temporary step before you get to the real negotiation. What are you and your colleagues going to do? Do you think it's important to actually impose more sanctions, to impose more economic pain on Iran before thinking about relieving those sanctions?
Well, you know, there was going to be a banking markup this week where sanctions were going to be looked at. That meeting has been called off by the Democratic leadership. And Senator Kerry is going to be coming up this week in briefing. But I do want to say, David, when you use semantics like freezing, Iran is still going to be enriching uranium based on what we see. So when they say freeze, that means they're not going to be gaining, but they're still going to be enriching. So there are a lot of concerns. Are they going to continue to be building the facility in Iraq, which produces plutonium? Are they going to continue that construction or not? What are we going to do with the 20% enriched uranium that's on the ground there? So there are a lot of details that many of us will be looking to very sternly before we decide whether we're going to move ahead. But I do know that on both sides of the Capitol, on both sides of the aisle right now, people are really looking at what the next steps ought to be. All of us want to see diplomacy. We do. And we thank the Secretary for the efforts that he's putting forth. That is the best way to resolve this issue. But we're also concerned about an administration that seems really ready always to jump into the arms of folks and potentially deal away some of the leverage we have. So we'll be watching this. We want to see a good outcome.
Do you predict more sanctions before there's any kind of deal with Iran?
I don't know. You know, new sanctions, David, would not kick in for several months. And I think you've already seen that the administration has dialed back the rheostat since Rouhani's election on the existing sanctions that we have. They have a lot of ability to waive and turn down and conduct these operations in lesser or stronger ways. So we'll see. I think this week, sitting down, talking with Secretary Kerry is going to be an important element of what we do. But I do think, again, there are concerns, especially, again, David, think about it, a partial agreement leads us down the same path we went down with North Korea, where just to get people to act right as you move through these things, you continue to reduce sanctions. So again, a lot of concerns about the approach. All of us want to see it resolved diplomatically. We know the sanctions have gotten us here, and we're worried we're dealing away with our leverage.
All right, Senator Corker, we will be watching. We will leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.